Welcome back to another video, everyone. This video is the second part to the previous, and this one is about finding inspiration. Now, if you remember, we left the last video hanging where I had travelled to Europe, and specifically to Vienna, to test the theory of whether travel is not only good for the soul, but that it's also good for your photography. And it's not about shooting urban, but to practice the art of seeing, learning in a completely new environment, the skills from which I can take back into my landscape work. I've come across this building which is smooth rendered plaster, but all of the details that you would normally expect to be carved out of stone appears to be both ceramic tiled and glazed, and you can see the glazing more in some of the figurine heads up here, which I'll just zoom in on. Oh, that's me fully zoomed in at 150 mil. But if you're watching this on a TV at a big screen, you'll see the glazing there. It's really unusual. It's the first time I've ever seen that. And I've ever seen glazing. Almost as if it was glazed pottery on a building like that before. Now, I don't know if you can read that. This is the name font on what I think is the Philharmonic building in Vienna, and it says Kaiser Franz Joseph 1868. And the flamboyance of these buildings with their massive guardians and horses, winged horses in fact, ornate copperwork, and just incredible stonework. It's overwhelming. There's a fairly elaborate frieze in this building of this bloody tram would move, which I can maybe see by raising this up. We can see the frieze just above the tram there, and again the balustrading at the top. And having been through construction project this last couple of years, I just can't begin to imagine the work that's involved in achieving elaborate detail to this level. It's just incredible. And again, looking up underneath the symphony building, craftsmanship, the architecture. I couldn't even imagine drawing this stuff, let alone putting it together. We've got gargoyles on every single one of these dentils, these architectural dentils. Each one of them is an individual carved dentil, which is a gargoyle on an acanthus leaf. It just blows my mind. And I'll maybe take a photograph of this too, and again, same treatment. I'll probably underexpose this to polarise the sky and see if I can stand right in the middle with the perpendicular pillar, which has got love hearts on it, and goodness knows what else, shamrocks, and goodness knows, right in the middle, so that the image is relatively symmetrical. Now, I changed my mind on this framing here and went for a more abstract form, being forced to see things differently. Now, as per the previous video, this is actually the finished image, and I'll show it being built, and I'll show it at the end of the video being built along with 10 others from both videos. So repeating pattern seems to be the flavour of the day, and I'm here underneath the cloisters of the Philharmonic building. These are the cloisters here that I was talking about. Each one of these is not just decorative, but it's a structural element. This is Albertina, which is one of the bigger art galleries here in Vienna, currently hosting Picasso and Monet. Come one street back from what I thought was the centre of the old town to get away from the architecture. And how silly of me, because we've got what looks like one of the bigger palaces in Vienna here. And Vienna's got several of these dotted around the place, and they're more than flamboyant. And they're certainly on a scale with Buckingham Palace. And just trying to get a sense of the size of this. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stories tall. And I think from right to left here, we must be talking 150 metres to 200 metres long. It's simply insane. Now, I once went to Italy on a trip. And after about 2 weeks, I was all cultured out. And this stuff is just everywhere here. It's good to see though. And just walking around the labyrinth of buildings here, I've come across this insignificant and rather ugly looking, well, I say it's ugly, this kind of dishevelled looking structure, which is clearly some kind of tower overlooking the public gardens. And the thing that's elaborate here is actually the copper work. It's quite striking actually, and I think that all for the messiness of it, I'm going to take a photograph because it's very symmetrical. It's almost identical either side. And I'll turn this into probably a square. No, I would love to have been a fly in the wall of the Vienna Architectural Council back in the 1700s, as the flamboyance was really taking hold over what is now called the historic quarter. Architects coming in with their scroll plans saying, "I want to build a dome." One dome doesn't cut it anymore apparently. Only if you build two, one on either side of the square. Have you seen what the Hofburg Palace is going to look like? He's building a palace with copper rearing horses, statues holding round things, and a two-headed eagle on the top holding a crown, killing a massive copper serpent. And you probably haven't heard what's the plans for the town hall either. It's an incredible place, simply incredible. This here is the courtyard side of this insane cathedral or church. And I think looking at the signage over there's quite a few dates on this, but I think this dates to about the 1300s, 1400s when it started. But it's the flamboyance of this thing, it's just insane. There's detail everywhere you look on this. And particularly if I zoom in, I'm going to zoom in here, on this part here. We've got flutes, and we've got spires, and all the spires are carved, and they're carved with little gargoyles. There's thousands of them. These are all gargoyles as well, to ward off evil spirits. And I would not like to be the builder who had to put that thing right on the top, because that will weigh hundreds and hundreds of kilograms. Look at this, this is just absolute nuts. I don't think I've ever seen a building like this before. I've been to the Famille del Gradi Sebastian in Barcelona, and I don't think it's as, I don't know, it's not as flamboyant as this, I don't think. Now, after 2 whole days of the opulence that's Vienna, I'm completely saturated because I've been looking really closely. So taking advantage of being in Europe, we're off to Bratislava in Slovakia, and only 1.5 hours on trains across some interesting but flat scenery. Now, what a different pace of life this place has. It's got some presence, but in a real understated way. And despite being a city of 650,000 people, there's hardly anyone here. Now, because it's calm and quiet, you can give your attention to what this place is all about really easily. And I draw some comparisons here to my long exposure photography, where the distractions have been removed and allowing you to see whatever is left behind. It's nice to be able to take your time, where time seems to have just stood still. Up the back streets of Bratislava here, they're actually lovely and a pleasant surprise, where life just happens at a really gentle pace here. Now, as a photographer, everybody needs inspiration, and I bumped into this young lad, Max. He's busy working the street taking photographs of people with what looked like a large format camera to draw people in. That's clever. Now, Max is just 15 years old, and he's using his photography to travel to the rest of Europe to take more photographs. What an inspirational young man. Well done, Max. Now I'm heading back to the hotel in Vienna. Bratislava was such a cool place to visit, with so many choices. Well, where to tomorrow? Now, this is Brno in Czech Republic, and this place, well, it's different again. And a part of the previous Czechoslovakia, there seems to be, I don't know, an old world grown-up feel here that's different to Bratislava. There seems to be a definite cultural influence here from elsewhere in Europe, in the buildings and in the way that it's laid out. French Renaissance possibly. Maybe that's the reference to the cockerels here. But then the Renaissance carving on this building with ornate ironwork on the balconies. It's certainly very Central Europe. The main street in Brno has a feeling of homeliness and warmth, despite it being very cold out here. This place actually was a really pleasant surprise and a pleasant find. Possibly one of my favourite cities that I've been to in Europe. It's hard to describe, but the lack of noise here and the pace of life actually reminded me of Orkney a little bit in the height of summer. Now, every small town everywhere needs a big hotel in a square, and we're reminded of where we are because of some of the architecture here, as well as the mosaic nameplate above the front door, of which I'll take a photo. Now, not all is flamboyant with all of the buildings, as we can see on the other side of the valley here. Industrial or utilitarian, certainly, reminiscent of and maybe a reminder of the difficulties this part of the world had during the 50s, the 60s and the 70s. Now, this has actually been real fun, seeing other parts of the world like this. And back on the train to enjoy Vienna all over again. So that's me done with Austria, or Vienna, and fantastic trip over just over a week, and a country count of 5 countries in 6 days, including a big long flight from New Zealand, but because of the time differences it's possible. Walked about 80 miles, I think, in the time that I've been in Vienna, and such a memorable trip. A memorable trip. And the memory of that will last with me for probably the rest of my life, for as long as I have my memory. And I guess it goes to show that although it was really difficult to photograph for me because it's outside my genre, the memories that I've created during that week is far more valuable than buying kit. And I can learn new skills by taking cityscapes and architecture and then apply that back to my favourite genre, being landscape photography, because it's going to confirm my need to look at the landscape in great detail. And I think sometimes it's really important to do something that you're uncomfortable with. And I think when you're comfortable, you stop learning. And I think the evolution of photography is one that's constant, and I don't think we ever stop. And a trip like that this week has been just simply incredible. And I'm going to get back to New Zealand and get back out with the camera, back into the landscapes to see what I've learned on this week. So I'm going to sign off because I'm just about to catch the plane in about an hour. I have about a 27-hour flight back to New Zealand from Vienna. And until then, I will wish you adieu. Keep shooting, have fun. Go travelling and take the camera and take stuff that you're not comfortable with. Until next time, we'll see you soon. Cheerio.
There's something in your eyes says you've been feeling different lately. Not normally the kind. Something in the way you move keeps you on my eyes. And I've seen you 1,000 times, but never like tonight. And when the liquor lines up, mine starts to wonder. Maybe it's the lights or the dirty cola, but you're looking real nice and it's getting colder. No, I don't bite, wanna come in closer. Falling out of line, trying to hold composure, but you're looking too nice, wanna get up on ya. Oh, we don't have to go there. I know that we know it better. We don't have to go there. We don't have to go there. I know that we know it better. We don't have to go there. We don't have to go there. I know that we know better. We don't have to go there. Something's in the air. Gotta put it somewhere. Really shouldn't go there. Something's in the air. Gotta put it somewhere. Really shouldn't go there. Really don't care. No, I really don't care.
And lastly, I'll leave you with some fun on a double exposure ICM, playing around with some transparency layers.
We don't have to go there. If you wanna go there, you know how we go there.
Thanks for watching, everyone, wherever you are. Until next time, you take care, keep shooting, have fun, and we'll see you soon. Cheerio.